When I was a young man, they told us, for instance, if you don't eat meat, you're going to die of protein deficiency. I haven't died yet. I haven't eaten meat. That means fish, by the way. I know a lot of you listening say, well, he's talking about, red meat. No, I'm talking about fish. Read my book, Killer Fish. If you read my book, Killer Fish and Eat Fish, I know you're suicidal. Not maybe, you are absolutely suicidal at that point. I am now beginning in December, I promise you, by next year it will be out, my new book exposing the poultry industry. You say, oh, well, he's saying fish, but, how about organic chicken? No! I'm going to quote a former colleague of mine that I was willing to listen to 40 years ago, Dr. Virginia Livingston, that dedicated 6 decades of her life and showed us that if you wanted to get a disease like cancer, the best of all animal foods to do it with is chicken and turkey. How many of you know that turkeys today have to be artificially inseminated? This is a fact, because they've so contorted and mutated their bodies, they can no longer, you know what? I think that's the case of some humans I see walking around at this point. We laugh because I was one of them at one point. I'm talking about, yes, the red meat, but red meat is not the only culprit. I'm talking about the egg, the embryo of a chicken. That's, by the way, it's like taking an embryo and eating it. This is going to be a chicken. In my book, Dairy Deception, I discuss in detail the science. And there's nothing I ever tell you that is not scientifically validated and backed by the latest research. So you know that. Many of you listening would like me to be wrong. Sadly, I'm not. Sadly, I'm not. When they checked a little less than 1 million eggs all over the world, they found out it had a deadly bacteria on 90%, including the so-called free-range and organic eggs. Matter of fact, I happened to be in California a number of years ago when this book was coming out, Dairy Deception. Obviously, talks about dairy too. And who stood up in the audience? It was refreshing. It was a woman who owns the largest, most successful organic dairy on the planet Earth in California. And she said, what he said is right. We just stopped last year after spending $17 million on trying to create an egg industry out of our business, because we had all of the distributors, everything was ready. We had to halt because even under the most magnificent sterile conditions, we could not kill this bacteria. In the book, I also say you don't even have to eat the egg. Most people get this from touching the egg. So, what should you do with eggs? At Easter, get the plastic ones. Don't ever touch the other ones. Don't even go near these things. Dairy, of course, I was always taught, as you were taught worldwide, by the wonderful propaganda and extraordinary money that is spent by the international dairy industry, supported by governments worldwide. Your government, by the way, here in the United States, if you happen to be in this country, gives about $500 million a year of your tax dollars so the dairy industry can sell you their product. Isn't that great? How many of you voted for that? Yes, you can take my money so we can contaminate our bodies and the health of our children and everyone else by propagating dairy food. Your government actually is in bed with the fast food industries. The fast food industries literally said, we need money, so now at the fast food stores, they don't only have soda, we want milk to come back in there and milkshakes to come back there. And your tax dollars actually promotes that. Well, again, my colleague, Dr. Colin Campbell, with the most important book ever published and research ever published in the history of nutritional science on why cancer is created, shows us that it's casein, which is 87% of the protein in milk, is the number one cause of cancer. Now how about if you do what I used to do? I used to take my chicken that was fried and dip it in whipped cream. I'm lucky I didn't have cancer by the time I was 10. How about you?